Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome back to another Planet Zoo real life inspiration video. Today we're looking at the capybara and there's going to be a lot of overlap between this video and the beard's tapir video or the giant anteater video. So we're going to go through things a little bit more quickly. If you want to see those particular habitats in more detail, you can check out those videos as well. But we're starting over here with not a tapir or giant anteater habitat. This is Apenheul, the monkey zoo, where we have a spider monkey habitat, which also has capybara in it. So we can see a lot of space for these spider monkeys and a lot of climbing frames for them as well. But on the side, a big moat, which of course keeps the spider monkeys out, but also is a nice space for the capybara, which are just chilling over here by the river. In the summer, it was a lot more lush right there. But yeah, that is pretty cool, pretty nice habitat. But next up we have Aquazoo Leeuwarden, which of course you might remember from the tapir video. We can see the tapir right there in the middle, but also the capybara walking around. So it's a pretty simple habitat. It's got a nice amount of South American animals on here. I think there's also a goodie, which is also very, very cute. But yeah, just a very decent habitat. And over there we can see the capybara vibing around, and not much else to see here. So it's about time that we move on to the next zoo. And that will be the zoo of Artis, also seen in the tapir video. We're gonna be saying that a lot. I think there were about 10 habitats that have both tapir and capybara. So yeah, we're gonna go through this one a little bit more quickly. But over here on the bridge, this is kind of the main spot where you are most likely to see the capybara, I suppose, because the big pond that the bridge goes over is something that the capybara like to hang out in. We can also see some southern screamers over there. So just add those to the list of animals that the capybara can be mixed with as well, I suppose. I think that would be a very long list because capybaras are everyone's friend. But yeah, as far as the habitat is concerned, we've got some lusher spaces, some more open spaces. We've got a space over here that can be separated, and then on the other side there's even more space. There is just so much space over here. These capybara can go everywhere. Next up over here we are at Van Blanckendael Park, which this certainly is a capybara habitat. I mean, we've got probably one of the tiniest backstage buildings I've ever seen. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's definitely interesting. And yeah, there's some water, some land, but other than that, nothing too special here. It's very open. But yeah, next up we have Parc animalier de Bouillon, and over here in Bouillon we have also just a simple capybara video, very similar to the other habitat that's on the other side of this building. We can also take a small peek in their backstage over here. Yeah, pretty bland and gross looking, so not much else to see here. But here we do have something truly special. We are in Burgers Zoo, and we are in particular in Burgers Bush, which is the tropical rainforest building, which is just absolutely fantastic. I love how the brightness of the light actually makes it very hard to see the structure of the tropical house. So it looks like we're just in a jungle. But yeah, this is the capybara habitat. Nothing too big or fancy, just, I mean, the foliage and everything around it does all the work here to make this look absolutely special. It is also kind of a mixed enclosure. There are some turtles swimming around in the water over there as well. But yeah, that is the capybara habitat of Burgers Zoo. Super, super awesome and just amazing. Over here we are in Cologne, once again from the tapirs as well. Just a nice open South America yard, I guess you could say. The capybara just kind of chilling over here, chilling with the tapir as well, so that's all fine and dandy. And then we've got the South American food court over here, kind of South America themed, I guess, with more views into that yard. And yeah, it's pretty flat, it's pretty open, but we also do have a cool America backstage over here. And of course we looked at the tapir part in the tapir video, but on the other side is also some capybara backstage. So it's a bit smaller, but of course capybara are much smaller than tapir, so I suppose that makes sense. So yeah, that's it for Cologne. Then next up we have Uilen and dierenpark de Paay over here, which that's a habitat. It is another shared habitat, I guess, with the turtles in there. And what's also pretty interesting to see is this feeder that they have over here, which is just on the guest side. They can just chuck some hay in there, and the animals will be able to eat it. It's very convenient for the keepers, but it's a little weird. But I guess that's the Paay for you. And over here we are in the Zoo of Dortmund, which is once again a shared habitat with the tapirs. We've got some cool viewing points. We've got a nice big pond. It's of course nice for the capybara, but also for the tapir. And yeah, just again a very nice big open field and some cool views of the capybara. But other than that, nothing too fancy to look at over here. So let's move on to Faunapark Flakkee, which I actually quite enjoyed this habitat when I was here. And it's not necessarily because of the habitat. It is a cool mix. We've got llama, I think, over there. Or are those alpaca? I think those are alpaca. But we've got a beautiful, nice, large pond over here. I thought for a more roadside zoo, like a not accredited zoo or anything. And this was a really nice, large yard and habitat and cool pond. And what made it nice for me was being able to see this, because I had never really seen capybaras swim. And you can see them swimming, you can see the ripples of the waves, you can see just how fast they actually go when they're swimming. I thought it was really cool to see. But yeah, next up we have GaiaZoo over here, and we're at another monkey enclosure. We can see the capybara kind of lying in the distance, but we can see the climbing structures of the monkeys. They've got their own little island on that side, and there's another monkey island on the other side. So you've got capuchin monkeys on one side and then another kind of monkey on the other island. And what's cool is, of course, the monkeys can't leave their islands, but the capybara, being able to swim, can. So the capybara can actually move between these islands, you know, greeting the different kinds of monkeys. They can pass under this bridge that you're walking on as a visitor. And I think that's super, super cool. I absolutely love that idea, and I'm going to steal it for Key Park because, yeah, I really, really, really love that. Then we can walk further along this island, and we got another backstage view over here of a capybara backstage, so that's always nice to see. Then next up we have the Zoo of Krefeld, which of course has a big mixed South American enclosure. We've got the tapir, we've got what looks like vicuna or something, we've got the capybara, and we also saw a rhea walking around over there, and of course our little capybara friend sitting under the bush there. We can see the backstage building in the back. Nice big water area, nice for all the more aquatic species in this enclosure, like the tapir and the capybara. But yeah, cool viewing areas and stuff like that. But other than that, there is not much new to see here compared to the tapir video. So if you want to see slightly more of this, honestly there is not that much more to see, but if you want to see slightly more tapir flavored footage of this enclosure, then you can watch the tapir video. But we are moving on to the Zoo of Maubeuge in France, and where we have a nice South America area. There's like I think main wolf are across from this habitat on the other side, and we can see some Mara in here as well. Yeah, just a lovely kind of cozy, I want to say, capybara enclosure. Like, it doesn't feel like it's too small, it's just very long and a little bit narrow, making it just feel nice and cozy, very tropical. We've got a little bit of a shelter building over there as well, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I quite like this habitat. I think it's very cute. Next up we have Monde Sauvage, where the capybara can be found on the mixed plain with the tapir and stuff as well. I say tapir and stuff because there's just so much on this in this enclosure that I forget what's even on here. I think there's llama, I think there's Mara, I think it's got everything that Eben hates about mixed South America enclosures, so that's a win in my book if Eben hates it. But yeah, once again, nothing too interesting, mainly just a large open field. There's cars driving past it, but there's no cars actually going through this. It would actually be a very interesting drive-through enclosure as well. But yeah, let's move on to the next Zoo Osnabrück, where we have the tapir enclosure on this side, which is not really the main enclosure of the capybara, though there are ways to connect the tapir enclosure to the capybara enclosure itself, so that's why I thought it was worth showing off. Just very quickly, but yeah, on the other side, to the left of the tapir enclosure, we've got this capybara enclosure with a very cute little themed backstage over there, but other than that, nothing too fancy here. It's not too big, but it's not too small either, I would say. They do have quite a few capybara running around over there, having fun. I mean, they were just absolutely a joy to see here. They were super active, running around, kind of brawling a little bit. So yeah, great enclosure and some great experiences there for me. Next up, we have Zooparc Overloon Part 1. Yes, we have a lot of things to look at in Zooparc Overloon. We're starting over here with the tapir enclosure. We can see there are also capybara in this enclosure, like this one. So they've got a nice pool. They've got a bit of shelter in the back, which I've often seen the capybara lying in, especially when there were still more capybara in here, but now they've kind of spread them across the zoo, which is why we have so much to look at over here. Yeah, absolutely ginormous enclosure, great for both of these species to have a nice amount of space to roam around in. But let's move to the second enclosure of Zooparc Overloon, and you might recognize this one as well from the Pakawi video, because this used to be a colored Pakawi habitat, but those have moved out of the zoo. They are now in Burger Zoo. So now this habitat is being used for capybara, and it's actually a really nice enclosure for them, if you ask me. They've got a nice amount of water. They got a nice large land section as well. So yeah, I think this is a great capybara enclosure, and it fits this tropical part of the zoo really, really well. So yeah, really like that one. And then we have a third enclosure to look at in Zooparc Overloon as well. We are currently in Madidi, the actual like South America area. I don't know, Overloon has like 2 or more South America areas, so it gets a little confusing. But yeah, this is the South America house, I guess we can say. And this is the indoor area for the giant anteater and the capybara as well, which is another mixed enclosure right here. And yeah, we can see the capybara enjoying their little pond over there, even though it was drained at that point. But yeah, that's the indoor yard, and then over here is the outdoor yard, a nice large yard. Once again, we can see some like faux ant hills for the anteater, but the capybara definitely like to vibe in here as well. And then more to the left over here, we've got a small shelter building as well, where you can see them. I think there's actually an anteater lying there. Next up, we have Pairi Daiza. I think this is the last time that we're going to look at this footage, because we have now seen every species that uses this enclosure. Yeah, the tapir and giant anteater are in here as well, but all I saw when I visited were the capybara kind of lying over there in the grass. It's definitely still a very cool enclosure. I love the look of it. It's quite simple for Pairi Daiza standards even, but I do love the way that they just used this old tower, which is probably part of the old monastery that the zoo is built around. Yeah, I think it's just a really cool enclosure. It looks very nice, especially with how lush it is at the time of the year this was recorded. Yeah, it's just very beautiful looking. But that's it for Pairi Daiza, so let's move on to the next zoo. Over here we have Pakawi Park, and we all love Pakawi Park on this channel, of course. Yeah, this is quite a decent enclosure though, I would say. We've got once again some capuchin monkeys that the capybaras are mixed with. The capybara can move through the moat over here, of course, to get to the outer edges of the enclosure as well. There's also some turtles swimming around in the pond, or in the moat, I should say. This is quite an interesting way as for like accessing the enclosures for keepers. You can see the hot wire going around it to make sure the monkeys can't get out. Yeah, it's weird that you're able to get there as a visitor, but it works. And then going around the enclosure over here, pretty interesting. You can see that plank going through the water. That's a thing that zoos do pretty frequently with monkey enclosures, because the keepers can walk over that plank, but the monkeys don't want to, so it gives them a nice way to access these island enclosures. But yeah, that was Pakawi. Pretty interesting, but it's Pakawi. So next up we have Planckendael, where we are in the gold-headed lion tamarin enclosure, and from this walkthrough enclosure we can see the capybara enclosure. So they actually kind of share the backstage building with the tamarins, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, from the other side, after you go all the way around the America area, you see this part of the habitat as well. This is a shared habitat with, I think, the guanaco, and yeah, again, it's just a large flat field with some trees in this case, but a lot of the capybara enclosures are just large open fields. It's kind of, I feel like more could be done there. But anyway, next up we have Zie-Zoo over here. Also got some turtles in there and swimming capybaras, which is always fun to see. Yeah, a very large, nice pond, and then this large field for also the rhea and the anteaters. But yeah, seeing this enclosure in the summer has really turned me around. Like, I thought it was a decent enclosure before, but after seeing it like this with all the tall grass, man, it looks super, super cool. Not sure if it's most accurate for like capybara habitat, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. Next up we have the Zonnegloed. I just quickly wanted to show this one because I saw online that there at least used to be capybara in here. I don't think there are anymore, but I figured might as well show it. It's just another empty field habitat. So just for completeness sake, that was it. Hope you got some capybara inspiration, and I will see you in the next real life inspiration video or whatever comes first. Bye bye!